大家好，我是 Olive Branch Allen. So now that you're new to strength training and you're starting a new program, you might be wondering and asking yourself whether you should be training your large muscle groups or you want to show some love to your small muscle groups that you might have been neglected in the past. You probably heard someone mention to you before that training your small muscle groups allows you to have better balance and better joint stabilization, or maybe even that it helps to prevent injury from all those big muscle group development. We'll discuss in this video whether in fact it does make sense or not to actually prioritize training your small muscle groups over your large. So when we're talking about big muscle groups, we're mainly referring to the quads, like the thighs, the glutes, and the hamstrings. And to target them, we'll do exercises like compound exercises or multi-joint movements, such as the squat and the deadlifts. The upper body muscles groups would be like your chest muscles, your pectoralis major, as well as your latissimus dorsi and your trapezius muscles. And you would normally do the bench press, chest press, the chin-ups or pull-ups in the rows. And typically when we refer to small muscle group training, there can be many different types, but some simple examples would be like some shoulder rotations and pulsing, some hip abduction and adduction, as well as some heel raises. Now, it is true that there are a lot of the small muscles in your calves that are responsible for the balance of your footing, and that would be like your tibialis posterior and your fibularis brevis, and that controls the inversion and eversion of your foot. But the key to having good balance is actually made up of two folds, and that is a strength component, and the other one is your neurological adaptation, or the skill side of it. So there's the coordination component, which requires your nervous system to be well trained so that it doesn't overcorrect your balance point and so that it can stay in the ideal position. Unfortunately, balance is a skill, and like all skills, they are not actually transferable due to the law of specificity, which basically states that if you're trying to train for a skill, you have to do that skill specifically again and again. And by doing something like a balance board, that will not necessarily improve your balance on a surfboard. For the purposes of joint stabilization or injury prevention, the argument for training for small muscle groups falls short once again. And that's because training small muscles actually will not necessarily prevent those injuries, unless you have been asked to train those muscle groups specifically due to a rehabilitation for already an injury that you have sustained. For example, if you think your quadriceps are overdeveloped and too strong, then by you spending time and energy training the popliteus muscle, which is a small muscle in the back of your knee, it won't actually really do anything to counteract your powerful quads. And also, there are actually support muscles for knee flexion, and so you can't really even isolate that muscle properly if you wanted to. This leads me to my next point, and that is your small muscles are small for a reason, and that's because they're not that important as they play more of a supportive role. And so by training your big muscle groups, you're actually including all the small muscle group that's supporting that joint along with it. Another argument for training your big muscle groups is that you will actually be increasing more mitochondrial use, which are the power units of your cell, and this will also increase your metabolic rate, which will allow you to burn more calories even when you're not exercising at all. And you can refer to our previous video on metabolic rate. When you're exercising your big muscle groups, you will actually be burning more calories overall during that set, and this will actually help in losing more fat. And when you're training big muscles, you'll be lifting much more load than if you were just doing small muscle group training. Thereby, you'll be increasing your overall body strength as well as increasing your bone mineral density. These are all serious health benefits that can be gained by doing big muscle group training. But what I'm not saying is that you should not do any small muscle group training at all. There are times when it's very necessary to do small muscle group training. For example, if you're rehabilitating a rotator cuff injury and you've been asked to do these exercises to really just work on those specific torn muscle groups. Or if you're trying to improve your grip strength and you're trying to do forearm muscle group training. Those are all practical times to do them. But if you're really strapped for time and you really want to get just the bare minimum health benefits, then I do recommend that you do the big muscle group training first as a priority. And then if you have the extra time, to include the small muscle group at the end. That's it for today's video. I hope you found that useful, and as always, please leave any questions or comments below, and I'll see you next time.